Yo, what is going on, Rangers fans? I am Randy, and we are back for week number 2 of the GBA D League. Just before we get started with this video, I want to thank everybody for the support on the opening week, the season opener against Aaron 420. Also, I do apologize to Aaron. I actually forgot to link his channel in the description, so that's my bad. So I'm going to have his channel linked in this week's battle and builder just to make up for it. I mean, his channel was in the description. I just didn't have it, check out Aaron like, how we usually do it whenever we face an opponent. So that's my bad. I ended up fixing it, but that's my apologies to Aaron. So I'll have that fixed for the rest of the season, hopefully. But if you guys did not catch week 1, if you didn't see the result or watch the video, I recommend going back and watching it now before we jump into the contents of that video. If you guys saw it, we did pick up a 3-0 victory against the Infernape. Pretty solid game. I could have made it 4-0 if I had preserved a little bit, but 3-0 is a fine way to start off. So a great start to the season. In case you all are interested in seeing how we performed, Megalopony was the team leader in kills with 3 kills and 1 death, of course, followed by Mammal Swine with 2 kills, and then Celesteela picked up a passive kill with Leech Shield on the Kangaskhan. So I believe it's got 1 kill, if I'm not mistaken. As if lead sheet counts, I'm pretty sure it does, but I'm not too sure. Barbarical didn't perform the way I was hoping it would perform. Oxy did a great job of getting up rocks and doing its thing. Memo and Loponi did exactly what I thought they would do. Barbarical was a little disappointing. It's just further proof that I have trouble using setup sweepers. So it's more of my fault than anything. So it was stuff I probably should have expected. But all in all, it's a great start to the season. We got 10 weeks left. We got to take it 1 week at a time and see if we can make something happen. So week 2, we're slated up against the Baltimore Oriolus, coached by Choice CJ. And of course, he is a newcomer to the D League as well, but not with a GBA. He's been around the GBA for quite some time. So if you guys don't know who he is for whatever reason, make sure you check out his channel. High quality videos, just like Aaron. Really nice voice too. I don't know why. That's just something I point out. Something weird to point out, but nice voice. He actually picked right after me in the draft, so that's something also to note. Along going into the battle, but his team consists of the Megaladios, Terrakion, which is one of his Z-move users, Suicune, Klefki, Roserade, Swampert, Darmanitan, Drapion, Gligar, Komala, the other Z user, and Raikou. So he actually, by the way, he actually did win his week 1 battle against, I believe it was OP Jellicent. Yes, it was OP Jellicent. I watched his side. I actually watched it when Chimp was watching it, so it was kind of weird. But he picked up a pretty strong victory. Klefki was actually the league leader in kills in week 1, which is crazy to even think about with 4 kills. It's stupid how Klefki. I don't think anyone could have ever predicted that would be the league leader in kills after week 1. So that's pretty whack. But and that's just the way it ended up being. So can't really do nothing about that. So yeah. Anyways. His team's pretty threatening. Also, obviously, Megaladios being allowed and the first time in quite some time is a little tricky. It's very bulky. It's got great stats all across the board. It could be a very threatening Calm Mind sweeper or Dragon Dance sweeper. It's got great coverage, and it's just a threat. Honestly, it's much more of a threat as a setup sweeper against me because I have the speed to outrun it. I actually have some power to knock it out too. So more worried about it being a setup sweeper more than anything else. Terrakion, obviously Scarf is something I expect. Same with Darmanitan. Those two are just hard to switch into on my roster in general, so I did bring some good stuff to hopefully check those things. Even Double Dance Terrakion is a huge threat, so I gotta be careful with that. Suicune, no one likes facing Suicune, so I don't even want to talk about Suicune. Klefki, knowing that I know it's Recycle now, that's something I have to keep in mind because Klefki can definitely be an annoyance in this matchup. Roserade is always a great mon. It's got, Toxic Spikes. I believe it gets Spikes too. It's a nice strong Grass type and Poison type, so always gotta be worried about that. Pert got the rocks. Drapion's annoying. He sniped it for me, by the way. I wanted Drapion, but I think it's Skuntank instead. Gligar, not too bad. Komala, not really worried about that thing. And, of course, Raikou, also another threatening Calm Mind sweeper. So, obviously, the main goal here was not to get swept by our setup sweepers. Obviously, I went over this before in my draft analysis and in week 1, I believe. I just don't. I think the one positive to my team building is that I hardly ever lose to setup sweepers, unless it's in the finals, of course, which is my bad. So I gotta be careful. I don't want to lose to Megaladios, Calm Mind. I don't want to lose to Double Dance Terrakion. I don't want to lose to Calm Mind Suicune. and I don't want to lose to Coal Mine Raikou. So my roster this week, my team, ensures that I don't lose to those things. At least I hope not. I had a couple different builds here because he's got a lot of stuff he can bring in this matchup. I feel like I have a lot of stuff I can bring too. So it's just being able to balance and hopefully have the coverage to cover all of them. So I believe I did that with this roster this week. So with the roster I went with, I ended up going with the Celesteela, the Mega Lopunny, Mamoswine, Jellicent, Rotom Heat, and the Uxie. Sorry I didn't white out the Z on Barbarical or Darken it, so my bad. But yeah, so that's the roster I ended up going with. Mega Lopunny is a great mon in this matchup. He doesn't have anything that outruns it naturally. The only way to outrun it is to slap a Scarf on Terrakion, or I mean, most of his mons that are like in the mid-speed tiers can outrun it with a Scarf, like Roserade or Drapion. I think I'm not sure about Drapion actually. Darmanitan, Raikou, stuff like that. But the main two I expect to be Scarf or the Suicune or the Terrakion. Not Suicune, the Terrakion or the Darmanitan. Honestly, I can probably see them both being Scarf because they're both great mons. Like, I don't have great stuff to switch into. So I will not be surprised if I see them being double Scarf. Obviously, they both have their negatives. Like, a Scarf Darmanitan is a little bit whack because it allows Barbarical to set up. But it's also worth noting that Scarf Terrakion does outrun Barbarical at +2 Jolly. So he will always have that to check. So I could very well see him bringing double Scarf in this matchup. So that's something that did worry me in this matchup. That's why I ended up bringing the Jellicent and the Uxie, because those two will be able to check Darmanitan and Terrakion. Uxie obviously resists Terrakion's fighting. Jellicent's immune to it. They don't resist rock, but Uxie takes Scarf Stone Edge relatively easily. And of course Darmanitan, it doesn't get electric moves, so Jellicent can switch into it rather decently well. And then Uxie obviously could take a hit, and with Rocky Helmet could definitely put some chip in on it. Rotom Heat is also another soft check to Darmanitan. Obviously Darmanitan probably will be packing the Rock Slide, but it is a nice soft check in case he's locked into a Flare Blitz that can get off of a slow Volt Switch and hopefully make that work out. Mamoswine actually does a lot of work on paper. His only mon that can check it immediately upon switching is the Suicune. Everything else, though, it cannot deal with this thing very well. Klefki obviously gets Magnet Rise, so that's one thing that could be annoying. But besides that, like, when I get this thing in on Swampert or Drapion or Gligar, even Raikou, because if I see Raikou's not shiny, I'll know he's not Aura Sphere, so I don't have to worry about Aura Sphere. I can just probably click Icicle Crash and be safe with that. So it's really a great mon in this matchup. So hopefully it does some work. And then of course Mega Lopunny and Steela are great mons as well. Steela can actually sweep his team with the Totemi setup, so that's kind of the plan with that. And Lopunny is just a great, it's dual stab. He doesn't have anything that resists it, so it's a great Pokemon in this matchup. So let's go ahead and jump into the builds and why I built the way I did. So of course you already see the team here. I forgot to switch the balance these out to make it look better, but yeah. But anyways, go ahead and jump into the showdown build of what we got here. So we have Correa leading the way, Celesteela. I switched it to Correa because Capella's probably done as a Rocket, and poor Rockets. That was a hard game to watch, man. Say what you want about the missed threes, but yeah, it was hard to watch. I still got Rockets in 7 though. Always at heart. But yeah, probably not the best set, for Steela this week, but I figured it was really good because at +2 Steela with some Beast Boost can actually sweep his team. So Totemi, Seed Bomb, Heavy Slam, Earthquake pretty much hits his entire roster. Gligar is the only mon that walls it, but as you can tell, I have Mega Lopunny with Ice Punch. Spoiler. Got Mamoswine, I got Jellicent. Hell, I even have Rotom Heat. But mainly the Lopunny, the Mamoswine, and Jellicent. I have 3 mons that can handle the Gligar, so I figured being walled by that wasn't a big deal. I opted to go Grassium Z Seed Bomb to have a nuke for Suicune, and that's pretty much it, because Suicune's the one mon that can actually, take this on well besides Gligar. Obviously Raikou and Drapion can take a hit before boosts, so maybe Raikou could possibly have an Air Balloon, or not an Air Balloon, but a Shuca Berry, which is something I have to keep in mind. But besides that, this thing has a pretty easy time setting up because you can set up on Gligar, it can set up on the Swampert, it can set up on his Drapion, depending on what kind of set it is. But it does has a relatively good time setting up. And Heavy Slam spam is pretty nice against the squad as well. But I mean, overall, it's a great mon to have. Honestly, probably a bulkier set would have been the better run here. But you know me, I'm trying to learn Celesteela and how it works, so I figured might as well just give out a full offensive set for this week. And next up, we have Hobunny, the Mega Lopunny, so far our MVP of the squad. We have Fake Out, Frustration, Ice Punch, and High Jump Kick. I opted to run High Jump Kick this week. I'm running it and being a little bit risky, only because Klefki is annoying. I know Klefki does indeed get Thunder Wave, pranks with Thunder Wave, but it's something I will risk, you know, late game, obviously, because I can kill it with High Jump Kick if it's hurt, you know, enough. Frustration is obviously normal spam. Ice Punch is for the Gligar. Swampert is a pretty decent check, I'm sure, but you know, I got my stuff for Swampert. I got Celesteela, I got Jelly, I have Mamoswine, so I'm not worried about Swampert switching into this thing. Early on, sure, it's fine, but you know, it's definitely not a wall or a counter by any means. So hopefully it could do what it did the first game and just be able to spam its stab moves early in the game to just break down teams. Scarf Darmanitan and Terrakion will be the annoying mon to deal with, but if I can get them out of the way, Lopunny's gonna have a pretty good time. Next up, we have Owl, Mamoswine, running a Life Orb, pretty much almost the same set as last week. Icicle Crash, Ice Shard, Earthquake, and Endeavor. Running enough speed, I believe, to outrun his, I forgot what it was, but it's enough speed to outrun something. I just can't remember off the top of my head. Let me just double check and see what it's supposed to outrun, so I don't sound like a fool. I believe it's like a slower Drapion or a slower Gligar, one of the two. It's just able there to take advantage of stuff like a slower Suicune, a slower Swampert, a slower Drapion, a slower Gligar, a slower Komala. So that's kind of the plan with it. If I can take advantage of those things, I can just fire off a Icicle Crash and deal some damage to his squad. And you know, none of his Pokemon deal with Earthquake and Ice Stab very well, besides the Suicune and Klefki with Magnetize. So gotta be careful with that. Endeavor is a pretty cool tech. I originally had Freeze Dry to make sure I kill the Swampert pretty easily, but I figured Swampert isn't a great switch in anyway. I'm running Adamant Life Orb, so I figured Endeavor was the right play and able to. It enables me to actually beat Suicune, potentially, or get it low enough for Bunny to come in and kill it, or a Z Seed Bomb to kill it, or like a Volt Switch to kill it. So I figured Endeavor is a nice way for Mamoswine to get some sneaky damage onto that Suicune. Obviously, if he's a faster Suicune, he can outrun me and scald me, but I will live one at full HP, which is always important to note. But yeah, Endeavor is going to be a pretty cool tech that hopefully works out. I just didn't see any reason to run any of the move besides like maybe Freeze Dry, but everything else is kind of worthless. So hopefully Endeavor can be a nice tech this week and hopefully you know, does something. Next we have No Name, the Jellicent, Taunt, Recover, Scald, Toxic, the exact same set I ran last year against Danicki and his Suicune. So obviously this is my #1 Suicune check. It won't be my #1 switch in because he could potentially have Toxic or Hidden Power. But this can only be one Suicune no matter what set it is, unless it's really, really fast. So, not really no matter what set it is, but no matter if he's like a Calm Mind set. So, I expect one of two sets. I expect a regular Crocoon set or a Rest Talk, Scald, Toxic set. That set's pretty annoying to my squad as well. Rest Talk, Scald, and Toxic can actually beat Jellicent if he Toxics me, but if I'm able to come in on it and taunt it, I can beat it 1v1 no matter what. So this will be my my Suicune answer throughout the game. It's actually also a Darmanitan check to be able to switch into a Flare Blitz or U-turn to get off a nice chip for Lopunny to come in and fake it out later. Hopefully I'll have Rocks up and Darmanitan can slowly get worn down. Toxic is there also to try to Toxic that Latios before he sets up on me. That's the only negative to this set, is that Latios can set up on me for relatively free. If he sub Latios, that's going to be a pain, but our front office kind of assumed he wouldn't be substitute because he kind of needs coverage. Like if he substitute Calm Mind, he won't have Roost. If he sub Roost with no Calm Mind, that's not a threat. If he is sub Calm Mind, then he's going to probably have to have Roost, but he loses out on a coverage move because he probably wants Bolt Beam. So it's just hard for him to cover everything if he runs substitute. So we figured sub wouldn't be the play. If it ends up being the play, sub Calm Mind, no recovery, then he got me good. I just can't do anything about that. But I really don't think he's going to have sub non-recovery. So we expect him to have anything but sub. That's pretty much the plan with that. If he's Dragon Dance, then I'm kind of screwed because all I'm going to have is Fake Out and Ice Shard. But Dragon Dance doesn't do anything for him because it doesn't break through Steela easily. He also can't really break through Rotom Knight easily if he's not running like a Dragon Claw or Outrage or whatever the case could be. So that's with No Name there. Next, we have Heaty McHeaterson, the Rotom Heat. I'm pretty sure McHeaterson will be the only word that fits in on the name, but Rotom Heat makes its debut for the Rangers this week, running Volt Switch, Overheat, Defog, and Toxic. Once again, another soft-checked in our Manitan, but it's a bit more offensive, a bit of a bulkier offensive set. I can just spam Overheat and, of course, Volt Switch. This is, a Mon that can throw off Toxic on the squad. It's also my #1 way to beat that Klefki, because Klefki will be annoying in this game. So Rotom was a very much a must-bring this week to be able to switch into Klefki safely, not worry about Thunder Wave, not worry about getting status, because it doesn't really care about being status. Toxic's annoying, yes, but Overheat's a really nice move against them. Obviously, Latios will be the #1 switch in, probably. I did consider running a Foul Play set, because Foul Play actually does 2-hit a Mega Latios with no bulk, so I thought about that for a bit. But we figured Toxic stuff, like maybe his Swampert or his Suicune before switching out. Even Latios would be something important throughout the game. If that ends up changing, I'll let you guys know, because that probably will be the move I change, because I have Toxic on like 3 of my Mons, so I could probably end up changing that to Foul Play or even Hex. And if that does end up happening, I'll let you guys know, but as of now, it's just going to be Toxic on the last slot. Defog, of course, is to prevent Spike Stack, so that's kind of the reasoning for that there. And finally, we got Vision, the Uxie running Stealth Rock, Psyshock, U-Turn, and Toxic. Pretty effective set last week. Hopefully it does well here. My checks at Arbanitan, the Terrakion. Psyshock is there over Psychic, mainly for our Calm Mind Raikou set, as well as to hit Terrakion. It hits Terrakion. I mean, Psychic does a little bit more, but that's only because Psychic is stronger, because Terrakion has the same defenses. Defensive but F stats. So Psyshock was the bring, mainly because of Calm Mind Raikou. I could break its sub, unless he's running a lot of HP. I believe he has to be running like 188 HP for Psyshock to not above 188 for it not to break. So that's pretty cool there. U-Turn obviously is for initiative. You guys know that already. And Toxic is there just for general status spam. Like I said, the Toxic on these 2 Mons are subject to change. One of them is going to be switched probably before the game. I just feel like it's not really worth it to have that. I could probably run Energy Ball on this thing, or even Foul Play. But I'm leaning towards changing Toxic on Rotom Heat to Foul Play. That way, I can actually hit Mega Latios before it wants to get up a sub. But like I said before, I don't really feel like sub will be the bring. So that's kind of why we went with Toxic, but perhaps Foul Play will be the play. Yeah, so I'll probably leave it as Foul Play for now for the builder. If it ends up changing before the game, I'll let you guys know. But yeah, guys, this is the squad for week number 2 of the GBA D League, in which we take on CJ. And I'm really excited for it. He's got a great team, great player, and hopefully the Rangers can go off to a strong 2-0 start. And yeah, guys, that's pretty much it. I'll see you guys in the game.